Welcome to Unlocking Your Truth, another podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips.
Everybody, welcome to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. My name's Dr. Lesley Phillips and I am your host. And we have a fun-packed show lined up for you today, let me tell you, listeners. We are today going to have a fabby discussion topic, and then we will be taking your calls, answering your questions like we usually do. And today's topic is how to know if you are on the right path. So today,
You look down, right?
Yeah, that's right. Check your footing. Yeah, today I found this software on the internet that would analyze repeat words and repeat phrases. And so I took all the questions that anyone's ever written into me, and there are about 1,000 of them actually, and said, well, I wonder what the most common sort of things that people say. And one of the most common phrases was, apart from what's my life purpose, was, am I on the right path? So I thought we could talk about that. Am I on the right path? And I bet if we were to take a poll, which we can't do because we're on the radio, but I bet if we were to take a poll and ask how many people have ever asked that question, I reckon it would be pretty high. Maybe 98%, close to 100%. What do you think, Corey?
Oh, I would think so. I think just about everybody questions themselves at some point in time with regard to their being on the right path or not.
Yeah, so do I. And so I'll give you my 10 cents worth. And my perspective is this. You are always on your path. There's never a time when you are not on your path, and there isn't a right or wrong path. There is just the path that you choose. And so really, I think when people ask that question, what the real question is I'm feeling uncertain. I'm feeling disconnected from my higher source of information. I'm separated from my inner knowing, from my higher knowing, and that makes me feel uncomfortable. Now, I also feel that we are so programmed in our culture to believe, with respect to there being a right thing and a wrong thing. So we expect that there must be a right path. And we're also so programmed with expectations and ideas of success. And we want to please, we want to be successful, so we want to make sure that we're on the right path. And so, and maybe we have this concept that there's this external judge out there that's somehow watching us and saying, oh no, they're not on the right path. But here's the truth from my perspective is you are God. You are divine consciousness. And you are in charge of your own universe. And you have free will. You have the freedom to choose. So you create your path. And you either can create it consciously from an awakened state or unconsciously. But either way, it's you making the choices and you creating the path every step of the way. And we've talked about this before on the show. You create your reality through your beliefs. You create your reality through the energy that you are holding in your field. That will point you in. If you were a boat pointing your stern in a certain direction, really it's your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotional energy, your mental energy, everything that you're carrying in your energy field is sort of what's determining where the prow of the boat is pointed and what direction you are headed in. whether you're having those thoughts and beliefs consciously or not. And you know, when I was thinking about, do you ever remember, Corey, that TV show called Quantum Leap?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that?
Oh, yes.
We might be aging ourselves here because I think it was from the 1980s and the 1990s. But the show was based on this character called Sam Beckett, who was a scientist, and I think he'd had a scientific experiment that had gone wrong, that had stuck him quantum leaping, and so every show he would end up in a different body. Do you remember that, Corey?
Yes, I do.
Did you like that show?
Yes, I did.
It was pretty cool. I liked it too. But, you know, it had me thinking, because you're actually doing a version of that in every single moment. We're actually creating our reality in every single moment. And we're actually choosing what quantum reality to jump into moment by moment by the way that we're carrying our energy. So you are your own personal God, and you can dictate the direction of your life consciously. And there's no right path, there's no wrong path. There's just the path that you're choosing to go along.
Okay. So I got 2 points that I'd like to make on that.
Sure.
I'm going to be the other.
Are you going to be the devil's advocate?
I'm going to be the other side of this.
Okay,
time.
go ahead.
My wonderful mentor and hero, superhero, Eckhart Tolle, always says, live in the present. Power of now. Be now. And so if we're on a path, there's some sort of determination that we're headed somewhere, that we're going somewhere. There's a place that we're looking to get to, which I feel that there actually, when you really think about it, there is no path, because we're never ever going anywhere. We're only where we are at the present time. So the determination is just be as you are, the best way you can be at this point in time, because this is the only point in time that you have. So there is actually no path. That's my
Well,
concept.
you know, and I don't disagree with what you said. I think
a lot of gurus say that as well.
I think the way that I would maybe just flip it a little is to say, yeah, absolutely. All you have is the present moment, and basically your life is a string of present moments that have the illusion of occurring in a sequence, and there is no ultimate destination, but there's still a journey. There's still a life journey. There's no ultimate nirvana or place that you're heading for, but there still is a journey. So,
yeah, but there would be, in that case, there would be hundreds of millions of billions of paths available.
there are.
So there, as much as there are so many paths, then there really isn't a path.
Yeah, there's an infinite number of paths and
So you're
choices.
always on a path, and you're never.
And yet you're never on a path.
and yet you're never on a path. It's because you're right here, right now, in this time,
Yeah.
this place, at
Well,
this point.
that's all.
Because you're never going anywhere other than you're never going anywhere other than the place you're going at this point in time.
Okay.
Or that you are at in this point in time.
So where I thought we'd take this next is, you know, because I think the reason why people ask that question is because they're feeling uncertain, is because they don't have their own answers that at that time that they're asking it. So what causes uncertainty? What causes people to ask the question, am I on the right path? And I think there's a number of things. And I mentioned one of them already, which is just being disconnected from source. And when I use the word source, you can put your own word in there, whether you like to use the word God or supreme being or great all that is. But there's a sort of a disconnection. Well, you can't ever be disconnected from source, but there's something coming in between you and that flow of energy from source. And I think the other one that so I've talked about a few of the other ones as well, like living up to expectations, just feeling so much pressure from other people's expectations that it interferes with your uncertainty. And related to that is foreign energy. You know, sometimes our loved ones have such a strong opinion about what we ought to be doing that their energy gets in our space, and that can really be discombobulating. Corrie brought up another one, not being present, not being in present time, being in the future, being in the past will take you away from your certainty about the present moment. Not being grounded can mean that you're in another reality as well. Self-limiting beliefs can cause you to question, am I on the right path? Because you could be saying something like, well, am I good enough for this path, for example? So fear of failure and fear of success can cause you to be uncertain about yourself and your path. And then a few of the other common ones that I encounter all the time with people are being stuck in the intellect, weighing up the pros, having to weigh up the pros and cons about something in your intellect, and getting stuck in circular arguments round and round and round can really just be a constant questioning as opposed to a certainty about yourself and where you're at. And then just being overwhelmed by the emotions, and your emotional responses can affect your certainty as well. And sometimes people get caught up in, if I take this path, or if I make this decision, or if I do this, how is it going to affect the other people in my life? Because I don't want to hurt them, I don't want to upset them, I don't want to discombobulate them. So taking responsibility for others and how they feel about things as well. So there are all sorts of reasons why people can be uncertain and be asking the question, am I on the right path? So listeners, what do you think? What do you think about being on the right path and what we've been saying about it? Any further thoughts?
Oh, I've got lots. Misdirection is one. It's listening. Well, I think you mentioned listening to other people is I think the biggest.
Biggest, yeah.
The biggest, like, and not just people are trying to be derogatory or in any way, shape, or form, but even people trying to be helpful, because one person's help is not necessarily another person's help in that sense, unless you're tuning into what they need. Most people try to impress upon other people what they are actually wanting or desiring in their life, and it's tough. I don't know. I've asked the question, am I on the right path? And I've got answers from the beyond on, yes, you're on the right path. And at the same time, it doesn't really matter, because the path you're on is the path you're on. And so it's whether you have to go backwards or forwards on the path. The other thing that I did recognize at one point in time is that being on a path, if you want to call it that, is like being on a set of roller skates on a great hill. You're constantly going forward and uphill, and if you stop, what happens? You start going backwards. The growth needs to continue, whether it be personal growth or intellectual growth. If it doesn't continue, you go backwards, and I truly believe that, and that we need to continue growing, even if it's in this instance alone. And growing, I think, when it comes to path, is about feeling the best you can feel about the person you are at the time you're there.
Yeah, well, and are you talking about consciously growing there? Because I believe that as long as you have a body, you never stop growing, because this planet is all about expansion and growth.
Yeah, consciously. I think being aware of your growth and trying to comprehend, I won't even say comprehend, just accepting the growth and working with it and moving to that place of momentary perfection, if you want to call it that.
Peace in the present moment,
yeah,
acceptance, embracing the moment for what it is and not expecting it to be any different.
I think joy comes into it. I truly believe we're here on this earthly plane, or in this universal earthly plane, to whether we're in this planet or another planet, is to experience emotions. And joy, I think, is the main emotion we're here to experience.
Mm-hmm. Well, on that joyful note, listeners, we're going to go to a short break. Welcome back, listeners. You're listening to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. And we are at that time in the show where we take your phone calls. We've been talking about a question that most people have probably asked at some point in their lives, if not many times, which is, am I on the right path? And so you're welcome to call in and share your opinions and anecdotes about that, but also just to phone up and have any question answered and have a spiritual insight on that question. And in the absence of a phone call, we have a big list of email questions that people have written in. So what's the first one, Corey?
The first one is from Nancy. And Nancy wants to know, I would love to know if the person I had an encounter with in the first half of 2016 is to come along later and play a very important role in my life. A little bit of a futuristic question, but...
Yeah, that's the theme for me today. I had somebody earlier on who wanted me to tell their future. And yes, it was very hard to explain to this lady that I don't do that because, just as we were saying at the beginning of the show, what you have is the present moment. The future is something that really it's a probability field, right? It doesn't exist. You create the next moment through the choices you make and through your energy, like we were saying earlier. So, Nancy, I will take a look at the encounter that you had in the first half of 2016, and I'll look in present time at the energy between you and that person, and that might at least give you some insight about what is currently going on. So give me a moment. I'll tune into your energy. Okay, so let's look at you, Nancy. And let's look at this person. And, well, it looks like it was a passionate encounter to me. And let's see. Well, it looks... I can see why you're hooked into that encounter. And because it looks like it was a very joyful experience, a very positive experience, and that just as often happens when two people meet and get together for the first time, the energy was really, really high. And it's because it's so easy when you first meet somebody to, just in the joy of meeting them and the excitement of potentially getting into a new relationship, it's like it's easier to go into a higher vibration. And of course you don't know each other in depth yet, so none of that stuff that normally gets in the way of that is there. And so I'm seeing that what you're craving is that feeling that you had through that encounter. And in a way, limiting your concept that says that the way to get that feeling back has to be by recreating that encounter and by re-establishing that relationship. And I'm seeing that the two things are not the same, actually. I mean, it may be that this person could come back into your life, and it may be that you could feel joyful about it again. But you can create that feeling for yourself whether that happens or not, is what I'm seeing. And so what I would say is, why wait to see if that happens in the future? Just recreate the way that you want to feel right here, right now. And then the good news is if you do that, you'll be more likely to attract a relationship that is a match for that anyway. Okay, Corey, I think I'm
done with that one?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question from Neela. Neela wants to know, I want to complete my novel, but I'm wondering, how can I make a living with writing?
Great question. Great.
Get another job?
Great question. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to look at the energy for you. So you want to finish your novel, but how can you make a living with writing? Well, I'm seeing you don't believe that you can make a living with writing. Well, that's the first thing. So if you don't believe you can, then you definitely won't. And so the first thing is, if the first thing I would say is that what you really want? If you really want to, if you love writing and you want that to be the main thing that you do, and that's how you would like to set your life up, then the way to go about it is to strip out any of the beliefs that say that that can't happen. Any of the beliefs that say that you're not good enough, any of the beliefs that say people won't like what I have to say, they won't be interested in it, anything that says it's really tough to be an author in this day and age. It just looks like there's an enormous number of beliefs that are getting in your way of creating that for yourself. And so what I would say is anything's possible, and you would not have the desire to do that if that wasn't something that was not possible for you. And you would not be having the desire to communicate through writing books if there were not people who wanted to receive what it is that you have to say. But I would just say that what would be in between you and creating a full-time living from it is a slew of beliefs that say it's not possible. So taking some time to meditate on that. What do I really, really believe about this? And if you find something that's a negative, like some of the examples I gave, then find a way to let them go. And then you'll be resetting your energy frequency to be more attractive to being a full-time author. All right, Corey, I'm on a roll. What's the next one?
You're on a roll. Well, I just realized, I think the listeners that tune in on a regular basis understand that we've got listeners all over North America. And now with the shows going on podcasts and the podcasts going out there, I'm going to have some fun and start reading out where the emails are coming in from. So this is one from Maureen in Seattle. And Maureen would like to know, I'm going through a major spiritual awakening, and your podcast has helped me with the overwhelming visual, auditory, and sensory input I receive. I'm now working on grounding and centering. Can you tune into me and provide some clarity on my intuitive gifts?
I'd love to, Maureen. Thank you for writing in. So clarity on your intuitive gifts. We're going to just take a moment to get tuned into you and take a look at your intuitive gifts. So we'll give you a bit of a quick rundown. So the first one I want to say is I'm definitely seeing your clairvoyance, right? Which is your ability to see as spirit, your ability to be neutral, your ability to be non-judgmental and observe what is, to tell the truth from a lie, to see energy and all of those things. So I'm seeing that in practicing that centering technique, that you're starting to activate that and to demonstrate that to yourself and be able to validate it more than ever before. I'm also seeing that the knowing, being able to know your spiritual information is another strong ability. I'm seeing that one of the things that is interfering with your certainty about your information there is a few different things. One is crown chakra looks quite open. That can be confusing because that can open you up to multiple streams of information. And I'm seeing that that is one thing that's happening with you, that you are there's multiple streams of information that are attaching themselves to you at your crown chakra, and not all of them are you. And some of them are from beings that you're wanting to, working with as guides and so on, seeing that some of them may not be the best friends to choose. And so just, working on some discernment about that, and setting some boundaries about who you want to work with and how you want to work with them, and learning how to orient your crown chakra for the best clarity and flow of information. But so I'm seeing those two, the claircognizance, the knowingness, the clairvoyance, which is the ability to see as spirit. And then when I go down to the fifth chakra in the throat, which is the channel for many different aspects of the intuition, I'm actually seeing a little bit of a block in the throat chakra. And so I'll give me a moment and I'll just see what that has to do with. And it's so funny that the show was about, am I on the right path, and how that question relates to uncertainty. I'm seeing that you're blocking your expression of what you're seeing and knowing because your intellect is kicking in and questioning it and causing you to go into some uncertainty and to therefore lack a bit of confidence. And so, on the one hand, it just looks like practicing and becoming more and more familiar. And on the other hand is looking at your life when you were younger, who shut you down, who didn't listen to you, who didn't validate what you had to say. And find those incidences that may have laid down a belief pattern that has caused you to question yourself and be uncertain about your voice and how it might be able to be received by others. And the fifth and that is actually blocking off your inner voice, your access to listen to and trust and act upon your inner voice, which is another aspect of intuition. And also there's a whole bunch of other aspects there in the fifth chakra as well. And the other one I'm seeing is the feeling one, clairsentience. I'm seeing that's also an aspect of intuition for you. And so, I'm seeing you've got a lot going on there, and it's really just a case of taking your journey step by step and, allowing this unfoldment to happen. And if you need to, seek some mentorship. Find a teacher who can help you to develop this and help you to really ground it and solidify it and understand how to use it and make the most of it. So I hope that has helped you, Maureen. I'm seeing you have many different ways of accessing your intuitive information, some of which are working okay, some which need a little bit of tweaking, and some which have a little bit of a block. Hope that helps you. Do we have another? And then we'll go to a break after this one.
Yes, we do. And this is a question for May in Wildwood. And
where's Wildwood?
I don't have the slightest idea. All I know
She's
is
in the
Wildwood, United States.
Okay.
And maybe she can call and tell us. And she'd like to know, what is my strongest intuitive ability and how do I develop it?
Wow, a bit of a theme going on.
The break may come a little later.
Depending on how much airtime we devote to your strongest intuitive ability, May, and how to develop it. Well, give me a moment. I'll just tune into your intuition, into you, and then let you know. Okay, so we are looking at May, and we are looking at May and her strongest intuitive ability and how to develop it. Well, the first thing I want to say, May, is you really do look like you're in the flow there, girl. Your energy's flowing quite nicely. You look like you're quite grounded. And so let me just see your strongest intuitive ability, if there is one. I'm not distinguishing one above another in particular, actually. I'm seeing that. Let me see if I'm going to choose one. what would it be? I'm being drawn to the heart chakra. So, but I don't want you to feel limited by this. I mean, you asked the question, what's my strongest one? I feel like the previous lady, you have many intuitive gifts that you could develop. But because you've asked the question that way, I'm going to tune into this one, and it's different than the ones we talked about in the previous question, so that's good too. So we're giving some complementary information here. But the heart chakra, there are a couple of different aspects to it. One's called affinity and the other is called oneness. And what I'm tuning into in particular with you is this idea of affinity. And affinity, sometimes somebody, when you want to make a decision, somebody will say, well, listen to your heart. What they're saying is tune into your affinity. And it's that feeling in your heart center when you feel enthusiastic about something, or you feel passionate about something, or you feel like you really desire it. You really feel drawn to it. That's part of your intuitive internal guidance system. That's kind of like your intuitive GPS device saying, go in that direction, because that's the direction of your joy. That's the direction of your enthusiasm. That's the direction of your alignment with Source. Because if it excites you, that's the clue. Whereas if there's another thing that you're thinking about, and it's sort of like, oh no, I feel obligated, I don't really enjoy it, but I have to do it, and there's some resistance or some responsibility or some obligation, and those are, then that's not your affinity that you're following if you're choosing it for those kind of reasons. So I hope you can see the difference in feeling. The difference, the way you feel in your heart. I'm trying to paint a picture of what this affinity is like. And so, I'm seeing for you, using that gift of affinity, or being able to tune into your affinity to help you make your life choices is a fabulous tool for you. And in a way, if you listen to that will take you every step of the way on your journey to discovering more about your other intuitive abilities as well. Everybody, welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. And we have the last section of the show. We are taking your phone calls.
Don't you just love that music? I think it's great.
It's lovely.
And I have a question from Nancy.
Oh, before you read that out, I just wanted to mention, to the people whose questions we've been answering, obviously we've been substituting a false name for you, but I'm assuming that you will recognize your own questions.
Yeah. Well,
and you'll know who you are.
I would hope so, yeah. No, or it might not be your question, but it might be the exact same question. Accept the answer. This is a question from Nancy. And Nancy's got a really long question, so you may want to take
Nancy
notes.
number 2, because the first question was Nancy as well.
No, it was Maureen.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Nancy.
Good.
Yep.
Maureen,
yep.
May, and now Nancy. And now Nancy would like to know, and take notes, what's my purpose?
What's my purpose? And that actually, folks, is my number one question that I get from people. What's my purpose? What's my intuitive abilities? And am I on the right path? And who's my soulmate? So, not to invalidate your question, Nancy, because we will definitely
It's a great question.
Take a look. It is. It's the question that it's another one of those questions that we all ask ourselves, invariably. So, Nancy, let's take a look at what is your purpose. And of course, the first purpose is to be yourself And what do I mean by that? Let's be a bit more descriptive about it. You know, I'm always on about grounding on this show. I'm on about grounding so much because it's one of the things that helps you to be yourself, because it will help you get your energy in your body. It will help you shine your light through this physical form. It will help you to be authentic and authentically express you, the spiritual being, in physical reality. And so that's your purpose. Your purpose is to be you. And, you know, that's what people mean when they talk about enlightenment, actually, or it's what I mean when I talk about enlightenment, which is enlightenment is it's embodying your light within the physical form of your body, being awakened. So that's your purpose. And then, of course, when people ask that question, they've got something specific in mind, like what is special and unique about me that nobody else can bring to this earth. And let's take a look, Nancy. Let's take a look at that for you. And one of the things that's coming up when I look at you, I'm seeing a real strong affinity with, maybe let's call it the divine feminine. So some very strong sort of feminine, female archetypal energy. So with respect to that whole, let's call it that creative crucible of the womb, of the female reproductive system, of the female creative energy. So I'm definitely seeing that sort of divine feminine principle. And whether it's having children of your own and being a mother, or whether it's just that nurturing female energy. But I'm seeing also that there's an aspect of the healer, of having a strong healing energy and a strong sort of feminine way about that healing energy. And so, you know, if it was in the context of motherhood, then it's sort of like I would see you tending to a number of children. If it was in the if it was not in that context, then it would still be, I see you being supportive of others, of being a healer, of being compassionate, of being a nurturer. And so, let me see. Yeah, I really do. I see you being a nurturer. And of course, one of the challenges with somebody who is a nurturer is to be able to balance giving and receiving. Because it's also always a danger to be giving and giving and giving and not be nurturing oneself. And so I would say you're a nurturer. That might express itself as a healer. It might express itself as a mother. It might express itself in, you know, any number of different forms. But it looks like one of the things that you're wanting to emphasize this lifetime, expand this lifetime, and learn more about this lifetime is being a nurturer, and especially in the context of that sort of divine, feminine, archetypal energy. And the challenge is, therefore, balancing giving and receiving, and also setting boundaries and doing it according to your own principles as opposed to other people's expectations of that. Because oftentimes when you're a giver, then the other danger is taking responsibility for others in that, and other people will let you do that. And so being able to set some strong boundaries, I would say, is also an important challenge for you this lifetime. So I hope that helps you out, Nancy, gives you a bit more information. And we're going to see who else has sent in a question.
I'll tell you as soon as I stop rubbing my eye.
That brought tears to his eyes.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a question from Candace, and Candace is in Chicago. And she would like to know, would relocating to another city be beneficial to me and my family? Well, that all depends on who gets elected.
I have another client. I bet she's listening tonight. And every time she lives in, I always get confused, New York or Philadelphia. And every time I speak to her, she says, if Trump's elected, I'm coming to live with you in Canada. Oh dear. So my sympathies to everyone there. So Candice, relocating to another city. Let's take a look. Looking at where you live now and looking at the idea of moving to another city. And, this is reminding me, I almost feel like I answered this one because I feel like I'm giving the same answer as I've given before, which is it looks yes, and it looks maybe to the north of where you live now, or slightly to the northwest of where you live now. It looks like a brighter spot. It doesn't look too far away. Doesn't look like moving to the other side of the country, but does look like a little move is on the cards.
Toronto.
Oh, it's Toronto. What did I say?
Northwest. Northwest of
in the
Chicago
ocean.
is Toronto.
Oh, so she lives in Chicago.
Yes.
I see what you're saying. Oh, I thought you were telling me I was telling her to go and jump in the ocean or something then. Okay. Yeah, northwest of Chicago. So maybe Corey's right. Maybe when Trump gets in.
Sorry, that's northeast. I apologize.
Oh, okay. You're confusing me. And okay, but anyway, that's my answer. Have we got another question?
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. Well, it's a simple one.
Okay. You sure? Okay, I've got a question from Aswan. And Aswan wants to know, I'm going to be launching a new online business I've been working on for a couple of years now. I would like to know, how can I get this business to thrive and become abundant?
Well, that's a great question. Let's take a look, Aswan, at your question. So you've been working on an online business, and how can you get it to thrive and be successful? So, tuning into you. Everybody's really interested in what I'm going to say. I can feel all the listeners. Pull yourselves back, listeners. Otherwise, I won't be able to see Aswan's energy clearly. All right, let's take a look. Aswan. How do you know? You don't know how long ago that question got sent in.
It's a little while back.
Yeah.
I could give you a guess, but
it's okay. It just looks like, it doesn't look like a fresh question, and it does look to me like there's a lot of interference over this. A lot of looks like a lot of challenges. So I would say interference from others and a lot of challenges that you have been encountering with this business. One of them looks around raising funds and other people's advice about what you need to do in order to be able to raise those funds, and other people's feedback, which looks like it isn't always delivered in a compassionate way. And so I'm seeing that you've been finding it tough, and it looks to me like some of the joy that drove you to move in that direction has drained out of this idea of this business. So I'm just going to give a little bit of a healing and see if we can brighten up the energy there, and then if we can, we'll talk about it some more. So let's see if we can just reset the energy back to what originally excited you about it. And and I'm seeing, if we were to give you a lesson for you out of this, it would be about listening to yourself versus listening to other people. It looks like when you first started the business, you listened to your own inner guidance and you followed your joy and you knew that this is what I want to do. And then it looks like as you progressed and you had to get other people involved and ask other people's opinions, you kind of gave away your power and authority to those other people and started to invalidate yourself and your own ideas. And that's when it stopped being fun. And so I'm seeing, in a way, on the one hand, I'd say stop listening to other people, but I don't know that that's realistic. I would say stop taking it personally when other people critique, and start seeing it as an opportunity to either make things better or just realize you get to decide whether you listen to them or not. You get to have a level of discernment over, okay, well, that's their opinion, but is it really true for me? And does it really apply to my business? So it's up to you whether you want to take on what they're saying. And I'm just seeing you've been very sensitive, and you've believed that other people are more of an expert than you are, when actually this is your business, this is your baby, this is your thing that you're giving birth in the world, and you're the one that knows it, this project, actually the best. And so that's really what I would say to Aswan, to help move out of the doldrum that was currently affecting it.
Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to another Unlocking Your Truth podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips. For more information, go to our website at drlesleyphillips.com. That's drlesleyphillips.com, where you can ask questions or send her an email, and there's many free gifts on there for you as well. Come back again.